Welcome back to SwamiLee's Sports Talk here at SwamiLee's Sports Cars and Collectibles, 2673 Haddonfield Road in Pennsauken, New Jersey. I'm Swami Lee.
I am Mellow Mike.
I am getting ready for pitchers and catchers Ed.
And that's what we're going to talk about today. A lot has happened in Major League Baseball. And then again, no, it hasn't. So we have the Hall of Fame to talk about today. We have to talk about free agency or lack thereof. And we have spring training coming up. So let's start with the Hall of Fame. Let's start with the fact that Curt Schilling did not get in. Thank you, voters. Thank you. One less douche nozzle in the Hall of Fame is a good thing, in my opinion. Mike, what do you think of the Hall of Fame ballot this year?
Well, Trevor Hoffman, no. Compiler, not great. Shouldn't have made the Hall of Fame. And the fact that they let in other compilers doesn't mean they should have let him in.
Which
the other
compilers?
Let's see.
Craig
Don
Biggio.
Sutton, Craig Biggio, to name two.
Mike loves Craig Biggio, in case you didn't know.
Not the way Lee loves Derek Jeter, but maybe just a step below that.
Gotcha.
I mean, Craig Biggio was very good for many years. He had a couple of great spurts, as in Dominic Brown great, but he was never a game changer. He devalued 3,000 hits. Until Craig Biggio hit 3,000 hits, 3,000 hits really was a milestone that decided worthiness of the Hall of Fame. However, I won't go on about Craig. It's obvious the voters made a mistake with him. We don't need to talk about him anymore because everyone in this room
In
agrees.
Craig's defense, he had multiple spurts.
But hang
Dominic
on.
Brown only had
A 1 month.
a 3-week spurt, and that was it.
He did. He's right. He had 1 3 week, and that was a heck of a. It was actually 4 weeks. It was
Actually, it was more like 6 weeks. But having a couple of great spurts over 18 or 20 years doesn't mean you are a great player. And Craig Biggio was not a great player.
Okay, but that being said, okay, how many second basemen have 3,000 hits, Mike? Any ideas? Because Craig Biggio did, and he was not only a second baseman, but he was also a catcher. Two positions that don't have a lot of representation from that perspective in the 3,000 hit club. So I hear you. I mean, Craig Biggio was not Mike Schmidt. He was not Ryan Sandberg. He was not Cy Young. But Craig Biggio still was a superstar in the game. He was like in the Andre Dawson level.
Another non-Hall of Famer, by the way.
Anybody nicknamed Awesome Dawson is a Hall of Famer. Can you argue that with me, Ed?
I thought his nickname was the Hawk.
Well, that's also, but when they couldn't get jobs, he and Tim Raines, after when the collusion thing was going on, I still remember Tim Raines wearing his Awesome Dawson T-shirt. So that's where that comes from. In case
I have a baseball card, Tim Raines with the Expos.
That's where he came up
with his Jerry curl.
Yeah, the good old days.
Loved it.
Good
Loved
old
it.
days. But
Fortunately, Jerry curls have gone out with the 80s music.
Hey,
right, Ed?
Exactly.
Hey, Steve Jeltz had the best one.
Oh my God, Steve Jeltz.
And Steve Jeltz has like a shaved head now, so it was kind of funny when I met him. I was like, all I remember was the hair, and I remembered his hot wife. Those are the two things I remembered about Steve Jeltz. But let's talk about Trevor Hoffman for a minute. Let's talk about relievers in general. Hall of Fame relievers, current playing today from the past. Ed, I know you're not a huge baseball guy like the us geeks over here.
Correct.
But what are your thoughts on Mariano Rivera, for example? But not, of course, he's a Hall of Famer, right?
Yeah.
But why?
He was dominant in his position. When he came in, it was pretty much automatic.
Brilliantly said. And Ed, you've summed, God's honest truth, you have summed it up in one sentence. Why he's a Hall of Famer, Trevor Hoffman is not a Hall of Famer, why Billy Wagner is not a Hall of Famer, why none of these guys are Hall of Famers today is because of that. Mike, do you agree, disagree?
I agree almost completely.
The only Hall of Famers out of the bullpen, in my opinion, Eckersley, but Eckersley, if you want to talk about dominant, plus he also had 100-plus wins as a starter on top of that. But my God, in the late 80s, if Eckersley came in, it was over.
Yep.
Except for that one game. That one game. Look familiar? You know? But Bruce Sutter.
Is that Kirk Gibson sitting next to me?
It is indeed.
Oh, man.
Except I can't grow facial hair, but it would be if I could. But seriously speaking, Bruce Sutter was kind of like the father of relief pitchers, even though stat-wise his numbers weren't Hall of Fame numbers, but because of who he was and what he represented, he's in. Rollie Fingers, Goose Gossage, Hall of Famers. They pitched 2, 3, 4 innings to get their saves back in those days. Don't look at the numbers. Don't say he didn't have enough saves. The save is the most useless statistic in baseball. Agree, disagree, gentlemen?
I agree completely.
Oh, absolutely.
Useless. It's like the statistic I invented for football. You don't know this, by the way. I invented a statistic. I'm upset because offensive linemen don't get any statistics at all.
Okay.
Jack and I were talking about that in the car.
The back of
actually.
a football card just has writing on it because there's nothing to put there.
Right.
So I came up with one. It's called hurries prevented. Every time there's a pass play, if the quarterback is not hurried by your guy, you get an HP. So simple as that.
Well, so we'll get back to baseball, but being on that because of the world champion Philadelphia Eagles, I will say, cool, I'm happy Nick got the MVP, but I think they should have collectively just given it to that offensive line because that offensive line was monster.
True, but you can't do that.
You can.
And Foles still had
You
a
can.
heck of a game.
You can.
But
Because they wanted to give Ray Lewis the MVP and they couldn't.
If you
Well, he killed somebody.
So-
Well, actually, no, he didn't. He obstructed justice.
If
Excuse
you can
me.
give it-
Ray Lewis did not kill.
No,
Hang on.
well-
I got to legally protect myself here.
Protect
Ray
yourself.
Lewis did not kill anybody. He pled guilty to obstruction of justice.
He ain't seen nothing.
So let's just be clear about that. I did not say you killed anybody, Ray, because you did not pull the trigger or stab anybody. Okay.
if Harvey Martin and Randy White can share the MVP, it was Martin and White, wasn't it?
I believe
In
so.
Super Bowl, was it 5? Then why can't Vitae and Kelsey and Johnson and Wisniewski and the other guy I'm forgetting, Barrett Brooks, share the MVP?
Well, maybe we should discuss this during the football show.
We
Since
forgot.
this is the-
Sorry.
Since this is a baseball show, let's get back
Baseball
on track.
show. Baseball
Craig
show.
Biggio's a Hall of Famer. Trevor Hoffman is
Craig
not.
Biggio is a Hall of Famer as much as Tom Brady caught a pass in the Super Bowl.
Ouch. Ouch.
I think I missed it again. I see. Look.
Oh,
Little
there
Phil
you
Collins
go.
for you.
I'm pretty impressed by that. He just popped that one out just like that.
And I thought you were trying to do Britney Spears. Oops, I missed it again.
No.
He can't even get the lyrics right. I mean, hey, who lip syncs better than Britney Spears, really? I mean,
Ashley Simpson. Oh,
It was already one time. I swear to you, it was on, and I'm not denying it. And she looked kind of good, so I left it on for a little bit. And she's doing all her dance moves and singing and all this other junk. And she has that microphone thing on, right? And she's pretending she's singing. And then when the next song comes on, which is some slow song, they hand her a microphone. So I guess she was singing that one live.
A lot of performers do.
But didn't she have? Well, they're a disgrace.
You're
okay?
right. A lot of performers do that.
In my day, when Nelson came on, Nelson sang live.
Being a singer,
Not Milli Vanilli, mind
being
you.
a singer in a band, I can tell, and I'm not anywhere near, that level, but I can tell you, doing multiple gigs, 3, 4, 5 nights a week consecutively all the time, your voice gets tired.
Then
I mean,
don't
you get
do it.
tired.
Then. If
You
I'm
get tired.
paying $200 for a ticket, you had better sing live. I could watch it on TV on YouTube and not pay any money.
Oh, I sang
Why
live,
would
but-
I, in a million years,
got you.
pay? I mean, people that go to Vegas for the Britney show, dude, she's not singing. Why are you paying $200 and some dollars? She's not even a good dancer, for God's sake.
Question.
Yes.
Question.
Yes.
Will the likes of Mark McGwire, Barry Bonds ever make the Hall of Fame?
I think there's a strong.
See, I'm bringing it
possibility.
back. See, I'm bringing it back. I'm bringing it back.
I think there's a strong possibility at Bonds, not McGuire, because McGuire, in my opinion, is not a Hall of Famer at all. I mean, even with his drugs, he's not a Hall of Famer. Much like Roger Maris is not a Hall of Famer.
which is not to imply that Roger Maris ever took any illegal drugs.
Though I wouldn't be surprised if he took greenies, though, but that's another story altogether. I'm not saying he did. I don't know. Just saying that's a possibility.
So the 500 plus
No.
means nothing.
No, not when you're a 260 one-dimensional player.
I got you,
That-
but usually the benchmark for hitters, Jim Thome got in, he didn't reach 500.
He has 612
Yeah, 600.
or something.
Oh, okay. But I'm saying,
That
and by the way,
benchmark is
I'm
gone.
glad that Jim Thome.
Just like 3,000 hits is gone.
No, it's not. 3,000 hits is not gone. It is no easier to get a hit today than it was 30 years ago. Meanwhile, home runs, I mean, Jose Canseco. Do you realize at one point in time, every member of the 400 home run club was a Hall of Famer except 2 players? Mike, what were the 2 players? See if he knows. This is, I'll give you an era. Go back into the mid to late 80s.
Darrell Evans.
There's one.
And,
The other one's easy. I mean, bro, the other one's just too easy.
well, you're not thinking Jose Canseco.
No, I
Dave
told you the
Kingman.
era. Dave Kingman, exactly right.
Mm.
That was the easy one. Back then,
Unlike
those
the Swami, I don't get stumped. Anyway, shall we continue? What about the other guys on this ballot? Perhaps, do we want to talk about what happened to, I don't know, Jeff Kent?
No, but I'll tell you something right now. That's a situation, a second baseman, for example, that gets no respect. I don't feel Jeff Kent was any more of a superstar than Craig Biggio, but he has the numbers to be a Hall of Famer.
Well, you know what? His numbers are comparable to the great Dick Allen. If Dick Allen isn't in, then Jeff Kent sure as hell isn't going in.
You can't compare eras, and Dick Allen was a first baseman, which is more of a power position. Second base is not a power position, so you got to remember that. You can't look at catchers.
And Jeff Kent was a mediocre. He could hit, but he was a mediocre second baseman who was probably there because they wanted to find his bat somewhere for that bat.
You're right. I can't even argue with you because you're 100% right.
Per my grandfather, Dickie Allen is not in the Hall of Fame because he was always angry.
And he was angry.
He was angry.
There was no
And
question
he was
about
angry,
that.
and that's my 90-year-old grandfather's who's been following the Phillies, when they were racist. And my grandfather, was always following the Phillies. And he said, Dickie Allen was his favorite all-time player. And he said the only reason why he's not in the Hall of Fame is because of he was angry, disgruntled, and he never hid what he had to say.
Correct. And back in that era, especially if you're any form of minority,
Yep.
you had to keep your mouth shut or you'd be in trouble.
Yep.
It's a little sad if you think about it, but facts are facts.
Well, then who's going to play the role of Yogi and Whitey Ford for Dick Allen?
Oh boy, that's a topic for another day. We're going to go to break, and we'll be back in just a moment with SwamiLee's Sports Talk.
Hi, I'm Terry Harmon, an old Phillies guy. I want you to stop in and see the Swami on Haddonfield Road. Everything you need for baseball memorabilia, new stuff, the season's about ready to start. Stop in and see the Swami on Haddonfield Road.
And we're back here at SwamiLee's Sports Talk. I'm Swami Lee.
I am courteous and well-behaved, Mike.
And I am Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles Ed.
Yes, we understand, okay? We understand. They won. First thing I want to do real quick, you see this? See how red this is? I don't know if you can tell that or not. The Phillies were burgundy. We never could figure out why the Phillies helmet was always red, but they had burgundy as their color. Just want to share that with you in case you were wondering.
I miss that old uniform.
I do too. We should go back to all the 70s and 80s uniforms.
I miss that uniform.
I want the Astros rainbow back.
The powdered blue Phillies uniform.
I'm with
Do you want the White Sox with their shorts?
I do. I want the White Sox with the shorts.
And
I
those
do.
Padres uniforms, I don't even know what they were, but let's see them, folks.
I'm with you. It's about time we kick it old school because I am old
I
school.
would love for them to do an entire season of just like the old school uniforms. That would be great.
I'm with
I love
you.
the old Mariners uniform. Even the Brewers, the old Brewers with the baseball mitt. I loved that. I loved all that stuff.
Yeah, today they're boring, the uniforms. I'm tired of it. It's time to change again, please.
And they're going to go downhill even farther once Chief Wahoo is gone, which is coming.
Well, in defense of that, I mean, really, if any other ethnic group had that logo, whether it's been around for 100 years or whether it started yesterday, if any other ethnic group had that logo, there would have been hell to pay. I'm sure you've seen those other ones.
Mm-hmm.
Believe me, I understand as much as I hate to see it go, but it really was a horribly, horribly racist logo. I mean, it really was. That's just terrible. Unlike the Washington Redskins, which was to honor Native Americans.
So they say.
Yeah, I truly believe that it was. But again, what do I know?
Well, when you look at the differences between that logo and the Cleveland Indians logo, you can definitely make the argument that one was intended to honor and one not so much.
Yeah, the Redskins logo kind of looks like the guy that has a tear in his eye when he sees all the trash all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Who wasn't actually Native American.
Really?
No, he was.
Really?
He was actually Italian, as a matter of fact.
Really?
I forget his name, but it was John something, and it came out that he was actually not. He was not Native American. He was like Greek or Italian or something like that. But then he was getting roles as extras as the Indian, in a show, and then he took it over that's who he was, and that's why they hired him so much.
Wow.
Yep.
Ed, do you have any other parts of my childhood you'd like to destroy while we're at it?
I'm sorry, I thought that was common knowledge.
Well, all I'm going to say to you
I apologize, Mike.
is as not to get into politics, but I must ask this question: has anybody else checked into the green card of the Native American congressman in Arizona to make sure he's a citizen? I guess they haven't heard about that.
I don't know what
we'll
you're
just,
talking about.
We'll just move past that. I just
Okay.
had to bring it up. But
Okay.
anyway, let's get back to baseball. We talked about the Hall of Fame a little bit. We got some time. Let's talk about the free agency. 3 words, Mike. Collusion or no collusion? 4 words, Mike. Collusion or no collusion?
Well, that's a tough one. I mean, one would hope that after the mess in around 1985, that the owners would be smart enough to either A, not do it, or B, do it in a way that wouldn't get you caught.
So let me ask you a question, Mike. Offering Eric Hosmer 5 years, $120 million. Is that collusion? Not giving him 7 years, $200 million? Would you consider that to be collusion? JD Martinez not getting 7 years, $200 million?
Let's
Is
stick
that
to Eric
collusion?
Hosmer for a moment.
Yes.
I think maybe it's a sign that you've got people making better baseball decisions. And if that means I think it's not collusion, you're right. That's exactly what I think it means.
100%. Ed, are you giving JD Martinez 7 years, $200 million if you're the owner of a team?
No.
Ed, would you even want JD Martinez
No.
on a long-term contract at age 32
No.
with no history of success?
No. No, absolutely not.
I mean, look at these.
But eventually somebody's going to give him that kind of money.
Jake Arrieta, the guy had a great year in 16.
Yeah, he did.
Ever since then,
He's been atrocious.
he's been nothing
Mediocre.
special. We're supposed to give this 32-year-old 7 years, $180 million or more, just because he says he wants it? Hey, I want Debbie Gibson and Tiffany knocking on my door and saying, "Hey, Lee, we've been waiting for you." But guess what? I'm not suing them for collusion because they together decided not to do that. Right?
I mean,
I'd like to sue them for that
Are you talking
because
about Tiffany Debbie Gibson or Tiffany and Debbie Gibson now?
let me tell you
Because I
something.
think they look hotter now than they did
They
when
look
they were younger.
well. Understand?
Me personally, maybe it's because I'm older now.
Debbie Gibson was never hot. Debbie Gibson was
cute.
adorable. She was like the girl next door that every guy, I mean, I'm the same age as her, every guy was just in love with her, okay? And Tiffany was more of the wild girl persona, so to speak, okay? And I've met them both, okay? I've met them both. I've had my picture taken with both of them. I will say to you, they both look good still. So I will say, to answer your question, Ed, before, after, back then, today, whatever you want, you ladies know how to find me, and if you don't, just let me know. You know.
And to get back to the subject of collusion, I don't think that Tiffany and Debbie have colluded in their decisions to avoid Lee. I think they each reached that conclusion separately.
Well, I think 30 teams decided they're not going to pay JD Martinez $200 million. And I think it shows that these teams are intelligent, not colluding. Now, if there were no offers on the table for Eric Hosmer, and there were no offers on the table for Jake Arrieta, then I might sit back and say collusion, because I remember the mid-'80s. Oh my God, Andre Dawson said, "Hey, here's a blank contract. Write in any number you want. I just want to play for you guys." And they still thought about it. And I believe the only reason the Cubs even had signed that contract was they had no choice. He backed them into a corner. Lance Parrish, who, of course, they made a lot of the Phillies. But the point is, at the time of the contract, they paid him almost nothing, the Phillies. He just pretty much said, "I got to have a contract."
And they got him, right after the World Series win?
No, right after the ALCS loss in '87.
Okay.
And that was a disaster.
Right.
I mean,
right.
But Tim Raines couldn't get a job? I mean, that's collusion.
Right.
JD Martinez doesn't get 7 years at age 32 when he's had 2 good years in his career? That's not collusion. Eric Hosmer is a one-dimensional first baseman. Doesn't mean I wouldn't take him on my team. Let's be clear about this. But I'm not giving Eric Hosmer 7 years, $200 million, or anywhere close to that. The dude's on crack. And despite what Whitney said, crack is not whack.
Wow.
Well, I've got to say that there are 2 words any team should be able to use to defend against the charge of collusion. And it's probably predictable what they are. Albert Pujols. His, I mean, I don't think he has had any bad injuries since he went from the Cardinals to the Angels.
He's been injured a little bit, but not like career-threatening type injuries.
Certainly not enough, I think, to prevent the kind of slide that he's actually had, or to
Well, he's
cause
like
that slide.
37 years
Well,
old. I mean, give the guy a break.
Well, that's the point. I think anyone can look at his contract and look at the slide his performance took after he went to the Angels and say, we're going to avoid that mistake. It's not collusion, it's good business sense, and it's good baseball sense.
You're not allowed to have good business sense or good baseball sense when Scott Boras is up there. Because Boras believes every one of his clients is the best ever, and they all deserve 7-year contracts. They all deserve $150 million or more. Okay, that's just the way that Scott Boras is. Scott Boras is the devil. He really is. Scott Boras he's Scott, you're a low quality human being. And I will say that because I could back it up in court that you are the low quality human being. Okay, you are. It's a shame that a scumbag like you is able to manipulate owners the way it is. But guess what?
He gets his clients paid.
He does. But you know what? I don't like his ethics or lack thereof. And that's my problem that I have with Scott Boras.
So
Let me.
Okay,
can
go
I,
ahead. No,
can
go ahead.
I
Absolutely.
interject?
Absolutely.
Actually, it's not a question of backing it up in court. Statements of opinion are not defamatory. Thus, for instance, if I say, I believe that Craig Biggio is not Craig Biggio is not a Hall of Famer. That's a fact. So let's talk about
Actually, it's
something
not
else.
a fact because he is a Hall of Famer. Now, if you
But-
said he's not worthy of the Hall of Fame,
That is a fact.
no, that would be an
obviously.
opinion, but that at least you could say is with accuracy. You can't say with accuracy he's not a Hall of Famer. Because he is a Hall of Famer.
Okay. You know what? I might just have to say Phil Rizzuto or Derek Jeter.
Oh
Besides
man,
that.
I'm not falling that
He's not
trap.
going to take the bait.
I am not
But
taking
no,
the bait on that
to
one.
get back to the point I started to make,
By the way, do you know Derek Jeter? I just found this out the other day. He actually had different levels of gifts for the women that left his place.
Why did I
Our
know this
view-
was going there?
our viewers remember that we had this discussion
No,
a
but
few
I
shows
didn't.
ago.
No, this is new. I didn't realize he literally had in other words, you might just get an autographed ball if you weren't great, and then you might get like a giant gift basket with memorabilia if you were. He had like Gucci stuff and all that. Serious, I'm dead serious.
Okay.
Hermes bags and all that.
Well-
But now, I don't know if it was based on looks or performance or what it was.
That was my next question. What were his criteria?
I'm not certain, but seriously, I did not know this about Jeter. He literally would go into his closet and, depending upon the situation, get a certain level of gift.
And he talks about me going, off the rails. Always.
But
Anyway, I'm
the
sorry about
point
one.
is that statements of opinion aren't defamatory. They do not subject anyone to liability for either libel or slander. So we've got nothing to worry about if we say that we think Scott Boras is a low-quality human being or a scumbag or lacks ethics.
Which is all true, by the way.
Gotcha. I mean, glad you're here, Mike, to clear that up.
That's why wherever I go, I just make sure I don't,
Now, being that we have our fine baseball memorabilia up here, when this man becomes a free agent, the Phillies are going to unload the mother load to get this dude. What's it going to take?
Well, we won't know that answer until after we see the Harper and Machado contracts. We have right now we have no idea. Plus,
What do you think?
well, here's the problem. You still have, I believe, 3 more years in that contract. So he's going to be, by the time he's a free agent, he's going to be 30, 31, and we're going to J.D. Martinez territory from the standpoint of age, but not performance, of course. Because remember, J.D.'s had 2 good years, and Trout's been the best player in baseball for 6 in a row, I think, or something like that. Plus, his marketing, his contract can get paid for the first 3 to 4 years. They'll make it in marketing. So in other words, he may not have the greatest performances towards the end, but it won't come out of their pockets if you really think about it. Right now, if he was free agent today, I can't see a penny under 10 years, $400 million. Mike?
Believe it or not, Swami and I agree 100% about that. That was the exact duration, and that was the exact dollar figure I had in mind.
And he's not taking less than 10 years right now. And he shouldn't have to. I mean, he's not J.D. Martinez. He didn't become a superstar at age 29, 30 and say, wow, I want a 10-year contract now, or whatever it might be, 7-year contract. This kid's been doing it since he was
19?
21.
Didn't he come up at?
I don't even
He came
know.
up at 19, didn't he?
I don't even know.
19, 20. I don't even think he was legally able to drink when he came up.
Here's a question. Now, obviously,
And I know a bunch of people that actually know him and his family, and they're like, he's like the nicest kid in the world. I don't know him personally. but I know a lot of people that do.
I know his sister's next door neighbor. Just to let you know.
No, I really.
No, I do know
Oh,
his sister's next door neighbor.
Well,
you actually know his sister's next door neighbor also. I'll tell you about that in a minute. when we're
Oh,
done.
Jesus.
But no, nothing like that.
Okay.
But anyway, it's a frumpy situation. But anyway, back to the story. Oh, now I lost train of thought with Trout. Completely lost train of thought because we got
10 years,
sidetracked.
$400 million.
10 years, 400
He still
million.
has 3 years left on his contract. Do you think they would do a trade?
No.
You think they can get anything?
You
for a trade?
couldn't. You could not, Mike.
What if he said to the Angels, "There's no way I'm re-signing"?
Hang on. First of all, we're 3 years out, so it doesn't matter. Okay. Here's the question. I'm gonna ask Mike this question. Okay. Put together a trade from any of the other 29 teams for Mike Trout. You can pick any team you want. A deal that both teams would accept. Use any team you want.
Well, okay. Obviously, I don't know enough about 29 teams' farm systems, but even if I did, I don't think there's a team that would be willing to give up enough to induce the Angels to give up Mike Trout. I think it would be a waste of time to try.
Exactly. My buddy and I, when I at the dealership, used to constantly try to put together a deal for Mike Trout, and it's impossible. If you wanted to trade Chris Bryant, then you could start talking, but that wouldn't make any sense to trade Chris Bryant. If you wanted to trade Carlos Correa, it wouldn't make any sense. Then again, the Angels couldn't afford Correa in 3 years.
Right.
You know what Correa's going to cost? He's a shortstop, for God's sake. He's going to be like 25 when he's a free agent or something like that.
Yeah, it's insane.
I mean, you're talking Trout money for Correa, most likely, unless he falls totally to pieces. So, impossible to put together a deal. What I was going to say was something about, you see, don't get old. This is what happens when you get old. The Swami's old. I ain't going to lie about it. I forget more than I remember. I get lost going to the bathroom at night. It's just one of those situations, but we're okay. Mike, any last thoughts for the day?
First of all, it really bothers me when you call yourself old for the obvious reason. Although you couldn't tell from my boyish good looks, I'm older than the Swami, sorry. At least chronologically. In spirit, maybe not.
Is that the spirit in the sky? I guess not. Or is it the spirit in the material world?
I'd like to talk about Frank Thomas, a Major League Baseball Hall of Famer who has been reduced to doing commercials for...
I'm sorry, guys. I apologize. We talk about these commercials all the time whenever we see them. I'm sorry. Go on. I apologize.
Okay. Jacob's pointing at the clock, which may mean he doesn't want to hear about Frank Thomas and his male enhancement commercials.
Okay, you had to at least mention what it was. Yes.
The big hurt. Yes, he's hurt, but no longer so big according to the commercials. But anyway, it's a fine starting lineup product right here at SwamiLee's Sports Cards and Collectibles. Although it will not be part of the auction on February 10, it will be available if you're interested.
Word.
And Joel Embiid did play back-to-back for the first time.
I heard about that. Didn't you hear about that?
2 games back-to-back.
I heard about that.
The day will come when we will have a basketball-oriented episode of SwamiLee's Sports Talk.
I'm not mad about that.
Don't hold your breath.
I'm not mad about that.
What you got?
I have here New Jersey's own, South Jersey's finest, Mr. Mike Trout, the best player in baseball consistently for the past few years. And Philly, do whatever you can to get this guy. He's also a fan of the world champion, Super Bowl champs, Philadelphia Eagles.
Will he? Hang on. That's what it was. That's what I was going to ask.
Okay.
Now, unfortunately, this will film after the parade, so you'll see this after we've actually held this discussion. Will Mike Trout be on one of the floats?
Ooh, you know what? Him and Carson are like really cool with each other, so I think he will. If he's not, he will be seated first row in the at the Art Museum steps.
Should he be on the float?
No.
I agree.
I disagree. You know why? Wait a minute. Hear me out.
We're listening.
There's only one reason why he should be on that float. And you know what that one reason is? Make him happy so he'll come here in a couple of years.
Okay, well, whatever works.
That's exactly
I'm holding
why.
the Lombardi Trophy through the entire parade.
But do we really think that if the money works or doesn't work, that's going to matter?
Probably not, but you know what? Whatever it makes... As a wise man once said, whatever gets you through the night.
Batting 1,000.
Anyway,
Batting 1,000.
on that note, we have overrun our time by a lot, as we can tell the Dirty Looks from our producer. So we're going to let you guys go. Thank
Pitchers
you
and catchers coming up soon.
8 days, I believe. We never even got to spring training, but that's okay. We'll get to it another time.
Baboon days away.
Exactly. I'm Swami Lee.
I'm Mellow Mike.
I'm Ed.
We'll see you soon. Thanks for tuning in.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Bye-bye.
Word.